there, Leslie with Moxxi Coffee, and today I'm going to be speaking with Iridessence. And you are into photography and modeling?
Yes. So the way I describe myself is that I'm a self-portraitist and performance artist based in Chicago, and I work with vintage and historical aesthetics, and I use them with my very marginalized body, I guess. I kind of marry that together because historically not many people of color and size have been represented in such aesthetics.
Okay. How did you get into this?
I've always had a long-standing interest. My father used to do antiquing, and he used to sell and collect antiques. My mother has always been into thrifting. Through them, not working with them, but rather, seeing them work and being raised by them, and watching TV and movies, and I Love Lucy reruns on TV at Nick at Night, and then other vintage-inspired media throughout the years, just kind of I guess got me really interested, and then over time just noticing the beautiful quality and nature of so many vintage and antique and historically inspired decorative arts and fashion and things like that. Just the amount of detail that went into the things of yesteryear.
Yeah, definitely don't see that anymore.
Stuck with me, yeah. So that's the really fast abridged version.
And what happens with your photographs and your art after you've taken them?
So most of the time I post on social media. I like to share my work. I used to have a Patreon. I no longer have one because kind of the month-to-month, process for that felt kind of, I guess, a bit too boxed in, and I wanted to be able to create on my own timeline and my own terms. But I create work and I share it for free on social media, the self-portraits and things like that, which I feel like are a step above the average selfie per se. A lot of the time I take my own pictures, but I do work with other photographers. But I use the term self-portraits because I do believe there's a connotation to the ease and quickness of selfies, and I put a lot of detail and attention and work into creating images that you see on my social media. So.
How long does it take you to curate these images, would you say?
It really depends on the image. So when it comes to vintage inspired things, sometimes it's items from my own wardrobe that I found or bought online or bought at a store, usually online, or that I've thrifted, or things that have been gifted to me by brands, things like that. And so when it comes to wardrobe, sometimes I'll sit on a piece for literal years, I'll just have it in my closet until I know that it's ready, and that also has contributed to the massive amount of clothes that I have in my closet too, because a lot of the time I wear things out, but when it comes to what you see on social media, it's really only a sliver of what I have, because I'm very particular about when I present things on my social media. So it really depends on the image I'm trying to create, especially with the historical costume images. Those I want to find sets or locations that are a match for the costume. Mm-hmm. And, I live in Chicago, which is somewhat of a historic city, but sometimes it's not always a match for that level of Georgian, Rococo, 18th century costumes or things like that. So it really depends on what I can manage within my home that doubles as a set, or where, areas outside that I can find. A lot of pieces come together. It could be props, the wardrobe. Usually, figuring out the hair and the makeup is the easiest part. Although I've done lots of tests for that to get a very specific vintage look. There's so many different details that go into creating what feels like something authentic or very inspired by the eras that I think about. Mm-hmm. So it really depends. Sometimes I whip up a look and I'm like, oh, this is cute, I'll take some pictures. And then it happens like that. And then it's one day. And then other times it's process of weeks to months to even things that like have been in my collection for years that are just now starting to be used in my work. So.
Is it difficult to find the historical costumes? Because I know, my coffee company has a very like 50s throwback vibe. So I try to shop, that era. And if you don't have a 24-inch waist, you're just not finding it. And I do not.
When it comes to true vintage or extant garments for historical costume, then but for the most part, I work with reproductions or historically inspired things. So really, Etsy is a girl's best friend, a person's best friend in general when it comes to historical costume. There's so many different talented sellers on there from all over the world creating costume. They'll do custom things. There's custom stuff on eBay. So if somebody is really in the mood to like wear something like that and they're willing to like invest in it, then over time they can really have some beautiful pieces that are very well made and like literally made to order for their body. When it comes to vintage, that's a little bit easier to get like, store-bought things. Like there's, any number of vintage inspired brands, Vixen, Vintage Vandalism, Unique Vintage, Moxxi, like any sites like that. If you have, they honestly, a lot of them organize things by era. So you could look, in the 1950s section and find something. And then one of the things I like to do is, like, I study a lot of movies, films, fashion plates, things like that. And so really, if you hone your eye for what you want to wear, you can, with any sort of contemporary clothing store, you could find something that's got a vintage silhouette to it. And it may be modeled by somebody who looks very now, but if you pair it with the right hair and the right makeup, suddenly you look like, you're stepping out in 1952 or something like that.
Very nice. What's some of the feedback that you're getting with what you're doing?
A lot of positive feedback. I've had a lot of really kind messages from people, especially younger women or women my age who are plus size and or Black, saying like they never really thought these sort of things were for them. Yeah. And that's really sad to think about because it's really for everybody, quite literally for everybody. But so it means a lot to be able to connect to those people and make them feel seen. And that was also part of the reason that I got into it the level that I did, I think, because it's helped me a lot with my own self-discovery journey. And I guess I woke up one day, not just one day, but in general, I kind of woke up to realizing that I needed to be the representation that I wanted to see when I was younger. So a lot of my work is fueled by that, and it seems to be received by people in the way that I hope. And then a lot of it is just being me and liking pictures of stuff.
There is nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, your photographs are absolutely gorgeous. It's really quite a thing to scroll through your social media. You can do it for hours. What are some of the things that inspire you? I mean, I know that you said that your parents had, do antique dealings and, is it, like a certain piece, a person?
I would say my sources for inspiration these days are like virtually endless. A lot of the tried and true classics, like Marilyn Monroe, Dorothy Dandridge, Eartha Kitt, like a lot of like classic old Hollywood film stars, of course, Heidi Lamar, lots of endless hair inspo, Rita Hayworth. And then a lot of the time, like if there's just like so in Chicago we have a place called the Green Mill that plays every Thursday. Like they're a big band and swing music. So like even going there, I get inspired. Like it feels like you stepped into like a night in the 1940s. And so like hearing the music and seeing the bar inspires me, and then I know that I want to go there dressed up, like to feel like I'm in that time. So many movies, I can't even really think directly. I guess when it comes to historical costume, Marie Antoinette, lots of like frothy pastels and Rococo stuff, and like a lot of the stuff from the turn of the century era, like Victorian 1890s, the big puffy sleeves and the lost waists and corsets and pretty things. I could go on forever.
Pretty things.
Pretty things, yeah. There's an endless list of like films and people that sometimes it can be hard to like zero in on one. So it really just a week, because sometimes I'm in the mood for one thing. And then like, you know, for me, my interest really is in all eras, but especially from the like the 18th century up into the 70s, like early 70s. And so next week I'll probably be doing something more 60s, very like Bridget Bardot inspired. There's just so many inspirational sources, truly. So.
Do you have any aspirations for this, or are you just simply doing it because you just want to do it? It's just in you.
It's a mixture. I definitely simply want to do it. I think I'll always dress up. I like to think that. And even if I don't always share that online, like it's truly a part of my overall life. I do burlesque, so I dress up for that in that sense. When I go out with friends or with my partner, I like to dress up. So even if I don't continue to share it online forever, it's something that I hope to continue to do. And even still, I'm seeing the ways in which it's kind of spread, like my love for dressing up and creating beautiful imagery extends into like the events I like to host little parties with my friends and give them an experience. I'm now part of a local historical costume group in Chicago called Chicago Historical Costuming, and we're planning events in the future with people who like to create their own costumes. So it's the self-portraiture has given me a platform and has introduced me to so many people, and has also given me an opportunity to kind of live in that fantasy in real time in person. So not just creating the images for people to see online, for myself to look back on, but to have an actual experience where it's almost like a moving, image, literally moving image, but it's, more, I guess, ephemeral in that sense, because it's an experience and not something that you can easily look back on, unless you take pictures there too. So I guess it works either way.
How long have you been doing burlesque?
I started burlesque in 2015. I was a bit ambitious with what I was doing, which was producing and performing for the first time, and then I took some time off. But I really started to get back into things 2017, 2018. And things were really taking off in 2019, and I had great hopes for 2020. We all saw how that year went. But yeah. I'm back. Yeah, I'm back doing great things. Very excited to be back on the stage and sharing my performance art, because I guess they're all really connected. It's a love for the visual of it all. But so I've been doing burlesque.
I absolutely love it. Like, if there were a place near me where I could get involved with it, I would have to be in it. I don't know how I would do on the stage, but I just want to wear a corset every day, forever. I'm sorry?
Where are you based?
So I'm in Stillwater, New York. I'm in between Albany and Saratoga. And just haven't been able to find that scene around here. It's tragic.
You could always create it.
Yeah.
That is gratuitous.
I'll add that to the list. So how did you get into burlesque?
Kind of the same through the same inspiration sources. Christina Aguilera's Back to Basics was a pivotal moment in my life in 2006, probably like many. And then hearing about and seeing Dita Von Teese's work, like it was always in the back of my mind. And then the Christina Aguilera movie too. And then later on actually like going to, when I moved from the suburbs to Chicago and I was an adult and I was of the legal drinking age, I was like, oh, I could actually go see a burlesque show now. I could do burlesque. Whoa, wait a second. And then so I saw a show. One of my friends, my best friend, wanted to create a plus size troupe, and so we did that. And that was how we got started. And then through doing, I learned a lot. Some people will start with classes, and I kind of just hit the ground running. And since then, mostly inspired by my colleagues or people in the industry that are doing really beautiful work. Dita Von Teese is definitely the most famous burlesque performer, but then like once you get beyond that, you see that there's like a worldwide community of working performers doing very different things. There's like the festival scene, there's more of the local bar scene, club scene, theater scene. Like there's so many different ways to perform, and so many different kinds of performers out there. And there's a lot of like connection to like sideshow or drag. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. So you're trying to relocate to New Orleans, right?
Yes.
How's that going? I saw you had the GoFundMe up there.
Yes, I'm raising some funds to relocate. I'm going to be living with my partner. I'm very, very excited about that. But I don't want to like put any sort of, I want to, I'm a low income artist, and it's nice to be able to, in the future, have that support from my partner, but I also wanted to create, like generate my own, savings to be able to make such a big transition across the country, and to also be able to show something tangible. Every once in a while, sometimes I ask, people would like to donate, since my work is free on all, public platforms, if they would like to donate, but also for them to have a physical, or rather a more visible, tangible, like thing that they're donating to. Like this is literally helping me schlep all this stuff across the world.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot.
Yeah, and so, but I'm feeling really good about the process, and I can't wait to live in such a beautiful city and with such an amazing person.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. And do you have I'm sure you'll be continuing to do your photographs and hopefully burlesque as well?
Yes, so New Orleans has a really great burlesque scene, and I've been lucky to, on my previous trip and hopefully on upcoming trips, to have been able to work in the city at a few different shows, and there's just a wealth of beautiful architecture and interiors everywhere you turn, especially with the city being as old as it is. So the nice thing is that I will have a plethora of vistas to be able to use for my work, and I hope to connect with more artists. I know a few photographers and people that create really, really cool work out there that I hope to be able to collaborate with. And I hope to just it's one of those places where it'll turn heads anywhere if you show up in like an 18th century gown and walk down the street, but there are people that are like, yeah, okay, cool. There's oh, that's right. Whereas if I do that out here in Chicago, like somebody, you know, I mean, you can do it out here. It's just a lot less.
It's a little more obvious.
It's a lot less daunting in New Orleans. And out here, it's one of those things where like you do it in a group. If you do it alone, it's going to be so much anxiety. So.
Now, you had said that you wanted to represent what it was that you were lacking when you were younger. What would you say to your younger self if you could go back, being that you didn't see that representation?
Yeah. First, I'd give her a hug, just like a long hug. And then I would tell her that her body is beautiful, her skin is beautiful, and that no matter what anybody says, those are not things that I need to change about myself. And that I can wear what I want regardless. I can be who I want regardless. Because definitely a lot of the things I had in mind that I would do, I was like with this idea of, once I lose weight, I'll do this. And it's sad how many people think that way. How many people still, in their adulthood, think that way. And it's really ingrained in us from a very, very young age. There's cues all around that are telling us that we need to change in order to be desirable, in order to be self-fulfilled. Self-expressed, and the young me, she needed to know that she didn't have to change to do all those things.
I think there's probably a whole lot of people out there that still need to hear that right now. So thank you for, putting your art out there, putting your body out there, and your message out there. I think it's super important, and it's one thing to have Victoria's Secrets throw some plus size models down the runway, but it's I think people need to see it more and more in day-to-day life. That
specific like ideal plus size body, because plus size bodies are so varied, and you see now with what is a very watered down body positive movement that came from really the fat positive movement, which was founded by Black women, which was much more radical, and then it got watered down to everybody's beautiful, which is true, and it wasn't that they weren't saying that, but now you have a lot more, unfortunately we have a lot more thinner and or white/lighter people that tend to receive, like they tend to take up more space in circles like that when they're already more privileged than the rest of the world. And so a lot of the plus size bodies you see for most websites or campaigns is very perfect hourglass figure,
no cellulite
ratio,
how does that happen?
Over the tummy to make that nice and smooth, and it's really frustrating. And then the amount of clothing companies that still cap at 3X, which I'm very lucky to fit within that cap, but there's so many people who are larger than me that don't get to wear half the things that I get to wear, or a sliver of something, or of the things that people who are smaller than us get to wear. So it really is like, I can see the tides turning, and it's nice, but there's so much more work to be done.
Oh, that's with everything, and it's difficult. Well, there's change happening. There is. It's not fast enough.
And it's so hard to see people think that, well, change is happening, but not for me, so I guess I got left out. That's the worst thing to feel. And I remember that feeling years ago, a decade ago, of not being able to find anything nice to wear. And now so much has changed, and it's probably a huge factor of why I have the amount of clothes that I do, because once I get something I like, I gotta keep this. Like, but that's still so many people's reality. So it's sad, but things are changing, which is nice. So.
Yeah, and you know, I think with the advent of things like Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all of the other ones all over the place, you know, it does give us a platform to raise some awareness, you know, and get our messages out there. So I think it's fantastic. I love what you're doing. Your photographs are beautiful, you are beautiful, and your message is absolutely beautiful. So I look very much forward to seeing some more of your photos in your New Orleans setting. Do you have a projected date yet, or are you still just kind of?
Yeah. So I'm moving end of June.
Nice.
That is, and I hope to have a going away party and a going away burlesque show. And then, in the meantime, like, I'll be bringing things down, but that's like the big move day for all the furniture and whatnot. So.
Well, congratulations. That sounds amazing.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time. I hope that, you know, we can get some more people turned on to your burlesque. What is your Instagram handle for those that want to see your artwork?
So my Instagram for my general artwork is Iridessence. That's IRIDESSENCE. I technically have a burlesque Instagram also because my stage name is Jezebel, but it's just a lot of work running more than one Instagram. So really, you can find it all under Iridessence. And that's also my Tumblr. That's partially my Twitter. Somebody took that name, and so it's like Iridessence X or something like that. I'm not really active on Twitter, though. I am on TikTok. TikTok and Instagram and Tumblr are my main platforms. Mainly Instagram and Tumblr. Tumblr is more of a mood board. I should have said that earlier. Tumblr is another big place for inspiration. And I've been mood boarding on there with my two blogs for some time now.
Fantastic. And I also know that you do have a link to your GoFundMe up on your Instagram. So if anyone is, you know, really enjoying that, those images, that artwork, the message, all of it, please do donate so that this lovely woman can get all of her beautiful things to New Orleans and give us some more great content.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I can't wait to see some more photos from you.
Thank you, and you enjoy your night too.
I will. Thank you. Bye.